for forever. At least that's what Wikipedia told me. Who knows? It might mean something horrible or something. But disasters, difficulties, storms never last forever. Epidemics go away no matter how many people they kill. Wars, even the 100 Years' War had an end to it. The 30 Years' War had an end to it. The Vietnam War had an end to it. Wars have end to them. Storms have ends to them. And God brings an end to them. None of these last forever. But David needed a place where he could wait out the storm, where he could be protected. There were semis that were just stopped on the road. Some of the new semis have sway detectors, and if they start swaying too much, the engine will just turn off, and they're just parked. Beth passed several on the way home during that storm. She kept going because she doesn't care. She's tough. Tougher than them truckers. No. But the storm will pass. We need a place of shelter in that storm. If you were out, I was out for a little while in it. I had to run from the school out to my truck, soaked. But once I got in it, the wind didn't bother me. The rain didn't bother me. We need a shelter while the storm lasts. So did David. God has such a place. God is such a place. He is our shelter in the time of storm. He can keep us safe no matter what happens to us. He never loses power. He never goes down. He never gets the roof ripped off. He is always there and always a safe place for us. In verse 4, God overhears David. It's interesting. David uses this device several times here in this song, and we'll see it again later. But it's like he's saying something about God, but he really wants God to hear and do something about it. And he'll talk to God later, but here he wants God to overhear him speaking. He reminds us of who God is. God is the Most High. He is the one that can help us when there's trouble. He is the one that we can look to. He is the one that we can see from a far distance, that we can see when it's stormed out. We can see when it's foggy. We can see him when there's trouble. He is the Most High. He's also the one that brings things to an end. Storms end. We've been reminded of other Psalms that David has written where he has said that, yes, bad things happen to Christians and to believers, but we always manage to weather the storms because God protects us. But one storm is enough to knock an unbeliever off of his pins. One storm is enough to shut down a semi. One storm is all that's needed. But when it comes to believers, we can weather storm after storm after storm. They always come to an end. In verse 5, he's again speaking about God, but he expects God to overhear him. David needs God to leave heaven and be involved in what's going on here in the earth. He wants God to look down and say, yes, those people need my help, here I come. David was familiar with that. He had been a king for a long time. He made a mistake. He didn't get out of his palace enough. Absalom started sitting in the gates and saying, hey, come to me. David doesn't care about you. I'll decide for you. I'll be judge for you. And he manipulated the people into following him. David learned that he needed to get out of his palace once in a while. He needed to learn that he needed to get off of his throne once in a while. God comes from heaven and intervenes in our life. He doesn't just sit up there and let the world run as it may. It may seem like that. It may seem random. But God is in charge of random. God is in charge of everything that happens, no matter how small the detail it is. And all it takes for God to intervene in this world is one little word. All he has to do is say something, and it happens. God created the entire universe with a word. He does everything with a word. He sent his word into this world in the form of Jesus Christ. All he needs to say is one word, and our situation changes. Instead, he sends two words. He sends truthfulness and commitment into this world. David talks about them like they're people, like they're ambassadors that God is going to send down, that they're his representatives. Much more concrete than just talking about some abstract form of an idea. He sends these two guys down to this earth to help us out. He sends commitment and says, I am committed to you. You know the truth about me, and I will let the truth be known about you. They are going to mean deliverance for you. God's commitment to us and His truthfulness in this world mean that we have a safe place to hide. Means that we have somewhere to go in this world. David says, because of God's commitment and truthfulness, I can lie down with lions. One of my goals in life, maybe during the millennium, is to lie down with lions. Lucy bought me a stuffed lion a while back, so I can use it as a pillow, but that's just not what I want to do. I want to lie down with lions. David was able to do that, figuratively. Lions will attack. Lions are hungry. Lions have sharp teeth. Lions will kill you. But David said he was able to lie down with lions because God was there and God would protect him. Their teeth were extremely dangerous, just like weapons in the hands of a human being. But their weapons are their tongues. Their weapons are the words that they say, the words that they use, the manipulation that they have, the slander that they give out, the hateful things that people say. David wanted all of those things to stop, and he could. They're not going to stop, but David could lie down and ignore all that. In his case, sticks and stones could break his bones, but words would never hurt him because he could lie down because God was there protecting him in all situations. He closes out the first part of the psalm by saying, "Be on high over the heavens, God, over all the earth. Be exalted." Now, they had several words for exalted, and this is a rare one, to be on high. It's only used a couple times here in this chapter and then one other time in the Old Testament. And what he wants God to do, I believe, is to show himself to the rest of the world. Yes, David knew that God was God, but David was hiding in a cave. How is the rest of the world going to believe that God is the majestic ruler of this universe if David's hiding in a cave? If David's life is being sought? So David is asking God to show himself to the world, to be like a lighthouse to this world, so that everyone would know that God is God, exalted in the eyes of his people. And then we have the second half of the psalm, and he starts the whole thing over again, like he often does. He likes to repeat himself. The Jews often use repetition to drive home a point. He changes a few things. He again talks about the description of the predicament he's in. This time he emphasizes that he is in the middle of this predicament, that he is in the middle of this trouble, that he has just started running from Saul, and that it isn't over yet, and that he hasn't had time to learn how God is going